as part of Financial Literacy Month, I thought it would be great if it's also a great time to start a channel where we talk to the underserved, otherwise known as the poor. I do that for a living, and I thought I would come online, especially now that Trump seems like he wants to make everybody poor. I would start talking about how to be poor in a smart America, and start providing tips and suggestions, so that we can all survive these now 1,000. Let me see how many days do we have? 1,386 days left with this man. So let's get started. The number one tip I would tell you is that this did not start with him. And it won't end with him. We're actually in the fourth industrial revolution. We've also coupled that, interestingly enough, we've coupled that with a racial reckoning. So we've been having, for the last 20 plus years, we've been in the midst of a industrial revolution, fourth industrial revolution, coupled with a racial reckoning. And now we've elected somebody that loves to keep us divided. So that's not helping. But I wanted to clear that up, is that I don't want anyone to walk around thinking that all you got to do is survive these now 1,386 days left that we have with this man. That is not um, the only thing. Like, you literally should be trying to figure out how you're going to survive living in a smart America as someone who does not have a lot of coins. Because we have been moving towards a society that is two tiered, one for the rich and one for the poor, for quite some time, probably since Reagan. And even then, they were using racial tropes. So that's probably how we got here. Is these racial tropes have so race has been, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, is that race has been used to keep us divided for quite some time. So every time that the rich want to get richer, they figure out a way to use their own community to advance their pockets and advance their ability to get richer without helping their own community, which is really very concerning. So you guys need to be mindful of that. And so, no doubt, that happened again with this last administration. The weaponization um, of immigration and crime, that was code word for Black people, um, was it's um, it wasn't necessary. Truthfully speaking, they used the visual of the immigration to make it look like it's bigger. It's a bigger issue than it is. Granted, yes, everybody can't come to the United States at this time, but the answer is actually to go to those countries and actually make those countries better, because nobody leave somewhere they're happy. Okay, that is what the big issue is that people leave only because they think that there's a better place. But if you make their place better, then they wouldn't come. So that's simple enough. But it also disguises the fact that what we should be focusing on is AI and how that's going to impact the American citizens. And instead of focusing on AI and the inevitable things that come with AI, we're focusing on immigration, and we're being a divided country. When, in essence, the immigrant is not going to take your job. The AI is going to take your job, possibly, if you do not develop the skills. Okay. So we really need to be talking about that more so than immigration and crime and things like that. But that was used during this administration or during this election to disguise what the real conversation needed to be with working class people. Working class people need to understand artificial intelligence and how it is going to impact their lives. Okay. We're not bringing manufacturing back, despite his comments on the tariffs. He, quote unquote, did the tariffs to bring manufacturing back, but manufacturing is not coming back. And we needed to be honest with working class people to let them know that yes, you may be working at a factory, or anything, working with your hands and things like that. But over time, we're slowly becoming a uni-collar society. So blue collar and white collar have kind of merged together and become uni-collar. So that means blue collar people have to have some of the same skills that you often find with white collar um, uh, individuals or white collar jobs. So the ability to sell. So for example, if you're a carpenter, you will probably work for a company, but then if you're not getting enough income from that job, you would then work with maybe get on TaskRabbit and get additional carpentry jobs through there, or Thumbtack and things like that. And that's how you would make yourself whole. A lot of us are not going to we're not going to all work one job anymore, especially if you did not major in a field that has, like, say, for example, a doctor. We're not going to replace a doctor. Okay. So a doctor is safe, but how many of us are going to be doctors? So you always have to have something to the side. Okay. And I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun to kind of work in these hybrid societies where you will work for a company and then you might work on the side for yourself. And so we have to start talking like that is normal, because I think what is happening for a lot of folks is that they are still stuck in the old society of doing one job. Okay. And from year one to when you retire, you will have worked. I probably have now worked, probably, I don't even know. I might have already started work. I might be already on my like 25th job that I've had since grad school. Okay. And that includes part-time and full-time jobs. Probably total full-time jobs, probably, I've had, I know I've had over 10 jobs. Now, my dad, interestingly enough, he retired from the paper mill and he had that job for 44 years. And it was enough to take care of, I have two sisters and a mom, and he did that with that one income. Plus, he did the reserves in the military. And he was able to put us through college and take care of the family. Okay, that is not the case now. I cannot tell you what I'm struggling with. I will eventually get to that in other videos, but that is not my story. I have already had probably at least 12 full time regular jobs, minus the part time jobs that I've had on the side, and still are struggling to make sure I can manage my household. Um, so we have to start talking and normalizing the fact that what a typical day looks like now is you're going to get up, you're going to go work for somebody, and then you're going to figure out what you want to do on the side. Okay. Which is, that's why I started this channel. I wanted to start talking about that and normalizing, like, what does it look like? What is the new survival look like? Because that's what poor people are doing. They're just trying to survive. They're just trying to make it to the end of the day. Okay. And I want to make sure that making it, we're, um, we're making sure that we're talking about that and not shaming people for the things that they're going through. I want to um, help you, walk with you. I want to get out of debt, and I want you to get out of debt. We're going to do this together. And actually, what I'm going to suggest, and I did not bring it down here, but I want us to do a Chat GPT challenge. Okay. And not just Chat GPT. Um, you could use Claude, Gemini, whichever one that you like, whichever large language learning model that you like, please use it. Will I Am has one called FYI. I haven't played with it. I've downloaded it, but I have not played with it a lot yet. But let's take the one of those large language learning models. It costs $20 for most of them. Most I have both Claude and Chat GPT that I've used so far. I do have Gemini. I haven't played with it nearly as much, but I've used Claude and Chat GPT, and I've enjoyed both, and they are very helpful. And so let's do that for the next 30 days. Or actually, let's do that, at least make some inroads by his 100th day. He has only been in office for 75 days today. I'm talking to you on April 5th, and he has been in office for 75 days and did this much damage. We're going to talk about why he was allowed to do that, because everybody wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been, if I was elected president, they would not have allowed me to do this much damage. So we're going to talk about that little elephant in the room in another video. But this is day 75 of his presidency, and his presidency turns 100 on April 29th. So by April 29th, let's make some differences in our lives. So grab Chat GPT, $20. For those of you who do not have a debit card or a credit card, take $20 and go to Walmart and get a Walmart One card, and then sign up for a subscription, a 1 month subscription. And then I want you to use it to find your income producing activity. Notice I didn't say job, I said income producing activity. A job may be an income producing activity, but it doesn't have to be. It could be that you like cooking, and so therefore you bake the best apple pies and stuff like that. You can then jump on ChatGPT and figure out a marketing plan for that business, or how to market that you sell apple pies and things like that. You could also find out that you might want to, for example, you like doing laundry, then it might refer you to apps that you could use that now help people find people that want to do laundry, and things like that. So no telling what you could find on any of those large language learning models. And let's change our lives. Let's begin. This is what I'm trying to do. I have a book called We Overcame. That's my book. I wrote it before ChatGPT, so it's actually legit my writing. And I wrote it because when I was working with the food stamps and TANF clients, I discovered that a lot have been brainwashed to believe that Black is poor. Okay. And we now have to say Black who happens to be poor. Now, my white clients as well, I mean, they have that mindset that is forever, poverty is forever too. And so when you do have that mindset that, you're going to be in this situation forever, then you naturally don't think that there's solutions. There's always a solution. And so what I did in this book is kind of forecast utilizing technology as a tool of liberation. So I put it in like forecasted it to be 2035, and then I said, okay, how do we get to that vision? So it starts in 2035, but then I play it back just to say, hey, if it's 2020, then how do we get to that liberation by 2035? And so that's what I do in this book, is talk about all the things, how we could use technology as a tool of liberation for our community. Okay. And so then what I did is I have a Stan Store. And so I put this on the Stan Store. It does send you a link to Amazon for the book. But then I created my own um, guide to the book, and it talks about technology as a liberation, quote, like as a I don't want to say study guide, but like a workbook that you can use to then kind of map out how you want to use it for liberation, technology for liberation. And then my final uh, product on my Stan Store is an 8-step guide to making smart decisions, because today you're going to make smart decisions, because now today you have all the answers to any problem you wish to solve. Okay, so the person holding you up really is only you. It's not anybody else. It's definitely not the man in at 1400 oh gosh, what is the address for the White House? But it's not that person. It's not the person down the street. It's not your neighbor that doesn't like you or anything. It's you. You are holding yourself back. And today, we're not going to do that. And I hope that in the comments, you put down that you started your income producing activity, your IPA. Okay. If you want to say what it is, that's great. That's wonderful. If you don't, then just say I started my IPA. And then use ChatGPT to help you build it. Okay. A lot of things are not nearly as hard as they used to be. And trust me, I've tried to build a website well before ChatGPT, and now I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to like testing out some of these website builders where I can just put the prompt in and it'll build the website for me, because I'm not one. I'm probably too old to be following step by step on YouTube. My daughter is very good at following step by step on YouTube. She's taught herself how to crochet, and she's also taught herself how to do her own hair just by watching YouTube. Now, for me, I can't do it that way. For me, I like the hands-on. I need to be in a classroom. But hopefully it will work for all of you, and we will be in a different spot. And I look forward to talking to you more about being a person overcoming obstacles resiliently. See how we turn that word around. That word, we're not going to empower it negatively. We're going to empower it positively in our lives. We are people overcoming obstacles resiliently. And I look forward to talking to you about that on these YouTube streets.